The Hobbit has some of the most boring action scenes I've ever seen. Watching them feels like watching a laundry machine. There's plenty of movement, but not a lot going on. They're overly long, threatless, gravity-defying, tone-deaf, and a bunch of other bad adjectives. But their biggest sin is that most of them do nothing to advance the story. They remind me of bad musical numbers. You see, even though musicals are as long as movies, the music itself takes up half the running time, leaving you with less time for, story and shit. So musicals often run the risk of having a super slim plot because they can't figure out a way to tell the story through the songs. Good musicals will advance the plot and the characters in the songs themselves. Here's a simple test. If you can remove a song from a musical without changing the story, then the song isn't pulling its weight. To be clear, the song can still be fun and catchy while also being complete filler. This song was rightfully cut from the original Lion King, and not just because it's fucking annoying,
we haven't paid the hornbills and the vultures have a hand,
but also because Zazu's lyrics don't advance the plot at all. Now, if you were alive in 2013, then you heard this song.
Let it go, let it go.
Part of the reason Let It Go is great is that you can't remove it from the story. It's literally about Elsa's character development. She begins afraid and alone, and by the end of the song, she's basically Beyoncé. Action scenes can be used in the same way. Characters can reveal something about themselves, or learn the lesson the film has been trying to teach them.
Hey, Buzz! You're flying! This isn't flying, this is falling with style.
So let's apply that same test to some of the action scenes of The Hobbit. The Stone Giants. This is probably the most random scene in the entire trilogy. As the dwarves are walking along, they watch two rock'em sock'em robots fighting each other. Bilbo gets in danger here and Thorin questions his worth, but that dynamic has already been set up from the beginning of the movie. So the scene is just here for spectacle, and to look good in a trailer. The orc raid in Lake Town. The orcs pointlessly raid Lake Town at the end of the desolation of Smaug. Literally nothing happens in this scene. The Legolas and Bolg fight is the definition of filler. It's so pointless that they don't even continue the plot line at the beginning of the next movie, fighting Smaug. But by far the biggest offender here, apart from most of the third movie, is the conclusion of the desolation of Smaug. So here's a scene that exists solely because of the 3-movie structure. Gotta end a blockbuster with everything going kablamo, so strap in cause it's time to watch the dwarves pointlessly wrestle a dragon for 2 loads of laundry. But it's certainly going to feel odd watching part 3 immediately after part 2, isn't it? I mean, you just watched a 20-minute action scene with Smaug, and now you're going to watch another 20-minute action scene with Smaug? I'm willing to bet that if they only made 2 movies like they originally planned, then Smaug would have gone to blow up Lake Town the moment he stopped talking with Bilbo. Instead, we get the most absurd scene of the trilogy. Oh, for fuck's sake. The movie goes through all this trouble to build up Smaug as a threat, and then it renders him completely toothless and incompetent in the next scene. Compare this to the opening of 5 Armies. Here are all the ways the plot or the characters are developed in this scene. 1. Alfred is betrayed and forced to fend for himself. 2. Bard escapes from prison. 3. Smaug is slain as a result of his own pride. And 4. The Master is killed for being a greedy asshole. You can't have a movie without this scene, but you can totally fast forward through 5 minutes of desolation without missing a thing. Now maybe you're thinking that not every action scene needs to move the story forward. Sometimes it's just fun to have a good fight in a movie. Well, that's true, but that's the other problem with the action scenes in The Hobbit. They don't have tension. Tension is created when the film makes us ask, I wonder what will happen next. To do that, you have to make us feel the danger by giving us enough time to figure out what's happening and then letting our imaginations do the work. And if you have tension, you don't even need to have elves doing backflips to make it exciting. Imagine that. Now, probably the most fillery scene in the original movies is the one with the stairs when they're escaping from Moria. It doesn't add much to the story other than tosses a dwarf, but it's an incredible lesson in cinematic tension. Okay, so they're on these stairs when they come across a small gap. No problem, right? Legolas jumps across. Then we hear but don't see the Balrog and the tension creeps up. We get a reaction shot from Gandalf that tells us to be afraid. A single arrow is fired at the Fellowship and misses. Now they have a second problem. They have to jump the gap, and goblins are firing at them. We get a shot of arrows almost hitting the Hobbit's toes, and a reaction shot of them recoiling in fear. Boromir hastily grabs Merry and Pippin and jumps. Just as he does so, the stairs where he was standing fall away. The gap is bigger, making the problem more difficult. Soon only Frodo and Aragorn remain, the two most important characters. Even more of the staircase falls away, and we get a vertical shot to show how far they'd fall. Keep in mind, this was back when gravity still posed a legitimate threat in Middle-earth. Now the gap has become impossibly wide. Will Frodo and Aragorn have to turn back? How are they going to get out of this one? Then this happens. We hear the Balrog stomping about, dislodging a boulder that hits the stairs behind them. Then the stairs they're on now begin to wobble. To tally up the problems this scene has built until this point, we've got 1. The Balrog is coming, so they've got to hurry. 2. There's a gap in the stairs that they have to navigate. 3. The gap is getting bigger every time someone jumps. 4. The goblins are getting pretty close at hitting someone with an arrow. 5. The stairs are cut off behind them so they can't go back. 6. The stairs are beginning to fall in the wrong direction. Finally, Aragorn comes up with a plan. They lean forward using the falling staircase to make it over the gap. The music swells the moment they are safe, dispelling the tension of the scene in a terrific climax. As a final shot, we see the staircase smash into pieces and fall into the abyss, further demonstrating the fate our heroes have just escaped. In The Hobbit, we get another escape from the goblins in Moria scene, and it comes at almost the exact same point in the movie, so I feel that it's fair to compare them. Only this time, Jackson manages to forget everything he knows about cinematic tension, and instead just cranks up the number of things that happen by a factor of 10, and then plays it all super fast. It starts with Dwalin pausing when some goblins are running directly at him. He solves the problem instantly by picking up part of the railing and swatting the goblins away. They drop the log and keep running. Now we're back to a wide shot. Some of the characters are on the walkway up top while others are on the walkway down below. Which dwarf is on which walkway? Fuck you, doesn't matter, because boom, next shot they're all running across the same bridge. Wilhelm scream. Kablam! 12 super quick shots of dwarves stabbing goblins. It's Thorin, then Balin, then Bifur, I think? What? Fuck it. Please note that the ease with which everyone can kill goblins, including the old dwarf, makes the threat that they pose completely non-existent, seeing as goblins are about as strong as... And there's really only one comparison I can make here, is there? But no time to think about that because boom, we're into another set piece. Goblins are swinging in on ropes. Thorin yells, "Cut the ropes!" They cut the ropes. Then there's a shot of goblins getting all tangled up. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Each of these little mini sequences are all just 3 quick shots. The first one sets up a problem, the second one is a character coming up with a solution, and the third one is them executing on it. Never for a moment do we get a shot showing our characters scared about what's happening or struggling for a solution like we do in Fellowship. But no time to think about that because kablamo, Keely's blocking arrows with his sword. It's set piece number 3. Keely bashes through the goblins with a ladder that then becomes a bridge. This is over in like a second, and now we're... Hold on a second, we're reuniting with other members of the company? Who I guess were on the other side of the walkway? How? When? They were all together a second ago. Who's with who? Hold on. Stop for a second. What the fuck is happening? We're all swinging on a bridge, that's what. Some dwarves jump off, then some goblins jump on, and for a second you're like, oh shit! Now they're stuck on there with the... oh wait. Oh, they've escaped. More swooping crane shots of scenery you'll never see again. 2 more stabby shots. And then Guam, we're into the bomber set piece.
He's a fat dwarf, basically. That's, not beat about the bush.
Thanks, Steve. Bomber trips and falls through 2 flights of wood. Some goblins get launched in the air. Are you worried if Bomber's okay? Too bad, motherfucker, cause time to watch Thorin stab a dude. And then Gandalf stab a dude. Then Gandalf shoots a magic laser at a rock, dislodging a boulder, and the music swells. But you're like, what? Why is the music being all triumphant now? How is this any different from the shenanigans Dwalin and Keely were pulling? And the battle isn't even over yet. There are still 9 more stabby shots before heading into the confrontation with the Goblin King. Even as bad as it is at building tension, it's also terrible at relieving what tension is there. Now it might surprise you, but even with all of that going on, the scene from Journey is only 10 seconds longer than the one from Fellowship, where Jackson used to take 2.5 minutes to clearly introduce elements of tension that made the stakes clear. He now took the same time to to have 5 different set pieces played back to back to back to back to back, along with a bunch of miscellaneous stabbing to boot. Nothing in this scene builds on what happened before it, which means you could reorder the entire sequence without changing the story at all. Scenes with tension are memorable because they engage you on an emotional level. You actually become worried about the well-being of the characters in the scene. I think one of the reasons people aren't as connected to the dwarves as they were the Fellowship is because they never seem like they're in any real danger in the action scenes. They always escape without a scratch. Most of the time we barely know where any of the dwarves are, what dangers they're facing, or if they're struggling to overcome those dangers or not. As a result, the action scenes just wash over you, forgotten about by the next load of laundry. Thank you for watching part 2. Next up, I'll be getting nitpicky. That's right, I'm picking all the nits in part 3, so make sure you subscribe to the Sage Rants channel so you don't miss it when the video goes up tomorrow. But first, time for a little bonus stupidity.
Goblin mercenaries. No more than 100.
Oh, there's only 100 of them. No problem, right? Yeah, I'm really at the edge of my seat here.